Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Yo Joe Outlet, your only source for G.I. Joe weapons and vehicle accessories. Don't have that incomplete Joe any longer. Connect with Yo Joe Outlet Center and complete that figure for an awesome price. Go check them out on eBay at Yo Joe Outlet Center and Facebook Yo Joe Outlet. Guys, you know I love a good horror movie. And what is the point of a horror movie? It's to scare you. The Fear Footage Part 1 and Part 2 accomplished that exactly. It scared me. It made me jump. And I'm not embarrassed to say, it made me shriek a few times, just like a little child. Guys, go check out thefearfootage.com. If you like found footage movies, forget that. If you like horror movies in general, if you like to be scared, if you like to pull the blanket up over your eyes, go check out The Fear Footage 1 and 2. Order it directly from thefearfootage.com. Blu-rays on sale, or go check them out on Amazon, The Fear Footage. What is happening, sensational friends of the channel? We are back, Jason Up, New Age Revolution, back with another episode from the cave. We are talking LJN Revisited, and we're going to keep it flowing. We're going to keep it going. The G.I. Joe stuff is coming too. We got a whole bunch of fun stuff to show you on that, but we're not talking about G.I. Joes right now. We're not talking about practice. What are we talking about? Practice? Practice? Come on, man. We're talking about practice? No, we're talking about LJN Wrestling Superstars Revisited. All that stuff back there. In fact, that stuff back there has been revamped, reorganized. I need to make room in this room, and so I need to really basically use every square inch of space, wall space, shelf space, everything. So I made some changes back there, and it's never looked better. There's some empty spots up there, but that's because I'm going to show you stuff right now. And maybe after this, I'll bring you over there and we'll take a closer look. But I did something I never thought I would do. I combined the LJNs with the Hasbros on the same shelf and put the Bendies. Oh, it's just so good over there. It just looks better than it ever has. Because I needed to condense some stuff, man. I mean, this room is... I got rid of the work table. Remember that big red table that sat there? So Wrestling with the Past is not going to be at a red announcer's table anymore. No. I'm just going to sit in front of the greatest backdrop on YouTube. Right? I'm just going to sit over there. So while you're talking to me, you can get lost in the beauty behind me. Because I can't have a big table down here. I moved it over to the wall where the G.I. Joe stuff's going to go, so it's actually going to get stuff on it. It's no longer my work table. My work table is now my floor, and that's going to have to be good enough. Because the room is just, it can't be filled with any other gobbledygook. It needs to just be, toys. So hopefully I'll be returning to my office soon, and there won't be a need for me to work down here anymore. So, talking about LJN Revisited. Now, on the LJN Thumb Wrestlers episode, we got our obligatory 1 thumbs down. And then we got a comment from a fella who said, "I enjoy your videos, but you talk way too much." Well, here's the deal. Now, for you, I don't talk at all. Because you're not here anymore. You're not, you don't, this, you're gone. The channel is a very unique, individualized channel. And before I started it, I went on and I looked up LJN figure reviews or LJN figure collections. And all I got was like a 4.5-minute slideshow of wrestling figures that I've already seen every day of my life for the past, 35 years. I don't need to watch a slideshow with some cheesy music behind it. That's not an LJN figure collection review video, right? My attention span is a little bit greater than 4.5 minutes. I don't need to watch, I can sit and engage with somebody for a half hour and talk. And so, and that's, the feedback on my channel style has been overwhelmingly positive. 99% positive. That what we love about your channel is the stories, is, you just chatting with us, giving us updates. And so when it's 99-1, there's no way it's going to change. So if you watch the channel and you think that I'm talking too much, there's other videos for, folks whose attention span is a little shorter, and they'll just whip through footage of figures and that's it. You move on, and then you go watch another video. You go watch Warlock's videos or something. So we're not going to do that here. That's not my channel. My channel is engaging. My channel is a family. It's friends. It's trips down memory lane. And, you don't go down memory lane just looking at photos. You go down memory lane talking about the memories that come to your mind as you look at the photos. And that's what this channel is all about. So we're definitely not going to be changing the format for the 1%ers out there. The 1%ers are no longer with us. Now then, LJN Revisited, we did the 8-inch figures. Greatest toy line of all time. We did the thumb wrestlers. And we're moving on. We're moving on to the Bendies. The LJN Wrestling Superstars Bendies. Yeah, and that's what they were called, Bendies. 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 And they were made in 1985. From what I've heard, I did not watch the Toys That Made Us LJN episode because, like I've said before, I have such a hard time watching the stuff that I should have been a part of. You know what I mean? Like, I should have made the LJN Toys That Made Us. I should have been interviewing the toy manufacturers, the former LJN employees. That should have been me. So I don't like to watch it. But I did learn from it, or from people who talk about it, that the Bendies were originally supposed to be the LJN Wrestling Superstars line. And what happened was, and there's a very rare pick out there that if I can find it, I'll insert it somewhere around here. But there's a very rare pick out there with full-size LJN figures in, well, I'll show you now, since we're jumping ahead here, but the back of the card here, you see how all those beautiful Bendies are all set up there in that kind of mock ring and whatever. Well, there's a photo of the 8-inch LJN figures in this pose, in this position. Okay? Because that was like the stock photo, that was like the mock photo that LJN sent to whoever, toy companies or toy stores or whatever. Toy stores, I assume. Saying, hey, look what's coming. This is our product. Here it is. So they made bigger figures to show off what the line was going to look like. And the story is that the stores, that the buyers, the vendors or whatever, the buyers, preferred the larger size figures. And so the 8-inch figures got made. And the Bendies got made too, but the LJN 8-inch figures were only originally a sample of what was going to be the main line of Bendies. And that blew my mind because, it makes you think, what would that have been like? What would for us who, our childhoods were the LJN line, the 8-inch line, what would have changed? What would have been different? Could we have had just as much fun with the smaller, fully bendable figures? Now remember, the tagline early on and on the packaging and everything for the LJN figures was twist them and turn them into all kinds of wrestling holds. That was the tag. Twist them and turn them into all kinds of wrestling holds. And in reality, that wasn't happening with the 8-inch figures. You weren't twisting and turning anything, right? But so my thinking is, did they keep the tagline that was originally intended for the Bendies, which were originally supposed to be the main line, right? You come up with something like twist them and turn them into all kinds of wrestling holds, and you go, well, yeah, you really can't, but it's such a good line, and they're kind of pliable. I mean, they're kind of rubbery. Let's just throw that on there and go with it. So my thinking is that twist them and turn them into all kinds of wrestling holds was created with the intent of having the Bendies be the main line. In fact, I saw a really old video a long time ago about like a Consumer Reports, like a local newscast, not my local, but somewhere local, a local newscast from around 85 that said, hey, these are the new toys for Christmas. And it was kind of a Consumer Reports type of thing where people would gripe about stuff or they'd talk about safety concerns. And the big thumbs down about the LJN. I remember the newscaster or the Consumer Reports person going, mocking that twist them and turn them into all kinds of wrestling holds line and going, you really can't do any of that. And what she did was she crossed their 2 feet. So their feet stuck together, and she goes, this is pretty much the only wrestling hold you could do. You can squeeze their feet together. That's it. And then I remember that specifically. So they were on that line from the beginning. Consumer Reports was against that line because the LJN 8-inch figures did not come through with that concept. But the Bendies do. And that's why I think that that line was made for the Bendies. So anyway, before we get into the figures, what would your play have been like if the Bendies were the main line? And we got everybody. We got everyone. We got, all the series. We got all the tag teams. We got everything. We got little belts. The ringing cage that I'm going to show you replaces the sling 'em fling 'em ring. We got everything. We're not losing out on anything. Would we have had as much fun? And it's kind of hard to go back because, we're in hindsight now completely, but part of me thinks if this is all we knew, I would have had a good time with them. But I think the AWA Remco figures would have been, I don't know, maybe more important to me because they had, they were bigger and they had muscles, and, but I definitely would have had a really good time with the Bendies, but would they have taken on, personalities and life that the 8-inch figures did? I don't know. It's such a difficult thought to try to figure out. I don't know, but it's interesting, that this is what they were supposed to be. So let's get into them. I do really like them. I really like the Bendy line, and I like them even more knowing that this could have been my childhood. This could have been, these could have been the figures that I spent all of my time with. So they're kind of they're starting to mean a little bit more to me because I'm almost like putting them in that role. But anyway, of course we start off with the Hulkster, the stereotypical must-have only wrestling figure that people recognize if they're not wrestling fans. Hulk Hogan. Okay? And when we start talking about twist them and turn them, that's when we can actually see some stuff going on here. You know, you can twist them and turn them, and because they've got little, you know, they got little steel, little metal rods inside of them, almost like pipe cleaner type of rods that bend, and don't bend everywhere. I mean, there's clearly no pipe cleaner metal rod there. It's just kind of floppy. But I think in the shoulders we've got them, and in the legs we've got them, and a little bit in the waist we've got them. So definitely a little bit more twist and turny than the 8-inch figures. I don't know. His arms are unusually long. Seems like he's kind of got like this eagle wing span here. But anyway, we got the Hulkster. We got Hulk Hogan. We've got the Hulk's nemesis during this time period, Big John Studd. And again, just like the thumb wrestlers, these are just little mini replicas of the 8-inch figures. That's all. So, you know, the idea is, how much did LJN produce before getting the word like, hey, we want the 8-inch figures? That's going to be our main line. Were some of these already produced? Were they already made? Were they already ready to go? You know, was it going to be the first 5, you know, Hogan and Andre? There's no Jimmy Snuka. There is no Jimmy Snuka Bendy. So, you know, what the heck were they going to do? What was the first line going to look like if they had gotten the permission to make this their main line? So here's Big John Studd. Another Hogan nemesis from this era. And one of my favorite Bendies. I don't know why. Probably because when I was a kid, I only had a few Bendies as a kid. Because I didn't need them. And like when Aunt Susie would go, oh, you know, Jason likes wrestling figures, so I got him one of these. And you're like, oh, hey, look at that. That's how I would get the Bendies. I wouldn't go out and get them myself. But I always seemed to have Paul Orndorff. So I always, you know, would play with him. And I'd take these guys on car rides, right? So the Bendies would go with me into the backseat of the car, and we'd have some wrestling matches as we're driving to my grandma's or something. Of course, how can you, when you're talking about Hogan nemesises, we've got the great Rowdy Roddy Piper Bendy. Now here's the danger that we face here. So you can see one of those metal rods is getting ready to pop out of that arm. And I've seen some and had some that have fully come out, you know, full compound fracture. You got these metal rods poking through. So that's where you get your bendy action from these rods. But, you know, I guess if you play hard enough, those rods pop through. No clothing for the bendies, no kilt for the hot rod. Would there have been a kilt if this was the main line? I don't know. Another Hogan bad guy. We're going through the bad guys first here. The Iron Sheik. Another great looking bendy. Even got the Iran on the trunks, just like the thumb wrestler. So this is almost an exact replica of the 8-inch figure. Good stuff. Can't have the Iron Sheik without his comrade, Nikolai Volkov. Got his hat, but not removable. Again, very, very similar to the thumb wrestlers. Really, their faces almost look identical to the thumb wrestlers. I think they did, obviously, a little bit better job with the 8-inch faces, but these are still good. Nonetheless, the USSR is almost worn off there. We've got King Kong Bundy. And a line that I really want to go collect. I do not like bootleg figures or generic figures, but there is a line from my childhood of maybe 8 bendies or so. And they're from the IWC, which is no such thing. But there was a toy company around this time, around 85, 86, that made bootleg figures, and they made 8, 9 or so bootleg bendies. And one of them has the King Kong Bundy mold, and he's kind of like, he kind of reminds me of King Hippo from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And I'll throw a picture up here. But I really want these. And surprised because I had them as a kid, because again, when some distant family members, or a friend that you invite to your birthday party that you don't really know, goes and gets you some wrestling figures, their mom goes to the drugstore and goes in the 99-cent toy aisle and grabs you some of these wrestling figures, these bendies. And you're like, oh, okay, that, I don't know who these people are. They're not real. But for some reason, I had those, and that line is really cool. And I really want to go back and get the IWC bendies. The crazy part is they actually have value. They are actually a valuable bootleg, no-name, drugstore company line, and I want them. And I've probably already showed you some pictures by now, but I want them. So there's Bundy. Great looking. Every figure that this guy has is just tremendous. Randy Macho Man Savage. And this is a very unused bendy figure. So we can really manipulate Savage into some poses, because he's very tight. Look at that. I can curl that and give him that muscle pose right there. Savage is a very unused figure, so we're not going to mess around with him too much. But Randy Savage Bendy. We've got some managers thrown in the bendy line, which is interesting, right? We've got Captain Lou Albano and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Here, we'll do one at a time. Bobby Heenan. Perfect replica of the 8-inch. I love it. I love that the bendies have managers. Very good stuff. And Captain Lou Albano. Captain Lou. We got no Jimmy Hart. We got no Freddie Blassie. We got no Mr. Fuji. That's it. This is it for the managers. Captain Lou and Bobby Heenan. That's it. All right, on to the good guys. We've got our classic short-haired Andre. Lovely. Let's take a look at size. Yep, Andre is bigger than Bundy, which is cool. So they made a taller Andre the Giant. That's good. We've got George the Animal Steel, one of my least favorite LJN figures. George the Animal Steel. He's got his textured hair there. Green tongue, very nice. We've got Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Again, just as plain as his 8-inch figure, but just as good. Love that little Ricky Steamboat. We got Hillbilly Jim. No molded hat on the Hillbilly like the Thumb Wrestler and like Nikolai Volkov. That's interesting, right? Hillbilly could have easily had a molded hat, but he doesn't. We got Hillbilly Jim. We've got Corporal Kirshner. Again, very nice. They're all great, again, because they're all molded after their LJN figure. Except the Junkyard Dog. Just like with the Thumb Wrestler, the Junkyard Dog's body is different than his LJN figure. And the chain. What's with that? A molded-on chain. Might this have been the original plan for the 8-inch figure? Might the molded chain have been, the original plans for the Junkyard Dog LJN 8-inch? I don't know. He's seen better days. The hair is fading. The beard is fading. We might have to touch him up a bit just for looks. We've got Brother Brutai, Brutus Beefcake. And we've got Jesse the Body Ventura, our final Bendy. Good stuff. Replica of the 8-inch. So, packaging I showed you. Pretty great packaging, actually. If you take a look behind, you see the ring in the gymnasium. This is Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling cartoon. This was, if you remember in the cartoon, in the opening credits and then throughout the show, they would all hang out at this gym. There was a ring, they would be working out. That's it. That's the backdrop. So, were the figures affiliated, or were they to be affiliated with the cartoon? Now, the vehicles that were prototypes that were going to come out with the Bendies were rock and wrestling vehicles. Roddy Piper's motorcycle. There was like a convertible Cadillac. I think Hogan had like an ATV. I don't know. We're gonna look. I'm gonna show you because I almost bought them. These are the items that were offered to me from the former LJN employee for a reasonable price of $1,800. But I was just getting out of my being employed and going into self-employed, so I was nervous. I had the money, but I was nervous to just give it away. And if I did, things would have been great. Things would have been fine. And I would have had those prototypes, but I didn't do it. So there were supposed to be vehicles with these Bendy figures, but the vehicles were going to be affiliated with the cartoon. There's the back. I love that back of the packaging with all those guys hanging out. Love it. And you can see some weird stuff in here. This back of the packaging is filled with prototypes. Filled! I mean, almost every figure is different than the one that came out. The Corporal Kirshner is different. The Jesse Ventura's head is pointed in the wrong direction. Brutus Beefcake has a completely different outfit. George the Animal Steel has hair. I mean, has George the Animal Steel ever had, can't we get this figure with hair? I mean, every prototype of him has hair, but we couldn't get the hair version. Steamboat has a completely different pose. I mean, Captain Lou and Bobby Heenan up there in the corner just look weird. They look very, very different. And of course, the giveaway, proof of purchase. And this, like the G.I. Joe giveaways, with proofs of purchase, they existed. This belt buckle existed. You could send away for that belt buckle. And on eBay right now, that's like a $75 belt buckle. And it's awesome. It is the Hogan 85 belt. And man, if I would have had that as a kid, I would have worn it to school every day. And I would have gotten beaten up every day. But I wouldn't have cared. I would have worn the buckle. So you can't have you can't have wrestlers without a ring. And so we've got the Bendy ring and cage. One of my I really like it. I think it's really underrated. I think this is a great ring and cage. It is fashioned after the LJN ring with the stickers, on the side. And very early in the LJN line, we get a cage. This is absolutely existing before the blue cage. Absolutely. This ring was available in '85. And it was definitely before the blue cage. So this is our first LJN WWF cage. The ring is very, not soft, but it's bouncy. You know, it's not solid plastic. And so you got a little bounce out of this ring, you know, which is cool. That's kind of what you wanted. And I remember, you know, when it was late at night and I was playing with the wrestling figures, I would use the bendies because they wouldn't make as much noise in the ring. But if it's like 11 o'clock at night and you're busting out the 8-inch LJN figures and you're slamming them around this hard plastic ring, you're getting in trouble. You know, somebody's going to come in, rip those things out, put you to bed. You don't see them again for 3 or 4 days. We can't risk that. Well, there we go. There's our ropes. Have definitely seen better days. In fact, I'm thinking about upgrading the ropes. Just going to Michael's or something and getting some replacement ropes and cleaning up my bendy ringing cage. Now, this came with two of the worst accessories. The worst accessories known to wrestling figure kids. These stupid things, okay? Because what we were supposed to do, what they do, is they go under here, right? Go like that. See if I can hold everything. So there's that, right? Right? And then you're supposed to bang on this, and it hits the bottom of the ring, and then the wrestlers flop around in the ring, and that's how you're supposed to play with your wrestling superstars bendies. By bouncing them and flopping them around the ring using these stupid bopper things. Kind of in a Rock'em Sock'em Robots type of vein. Stupid. Just stupid. It also came with an okay accessory, the timer bell, because really this was kind of a game, right? So the steel cage match, the bendy ringing cage was actually a game. Okay, the game was you set the timer, and I think that's it. I think it might have dinged at one point, but you set the timer. You get your two guys in the ring. You hook up these handle things, and you bang the hell out of them. And I don't know how. Let's see. What does it say? Slam them, bam them, and the winner comes out on top. I don't know what that means. Slam them and bam them, and the winner comes out on top. So maybe like by the end of the match, by the end of the buzzer, whoever was on top of the other guy won, I guess. So, you know, this was kind of like a game. And this box is beautiful. This is one of, you know, when I talk about the boxes and iconic images of childhood, this is one of them. This is definitely one of them. Beautiful, beautiful packaging. I just love this box. I love this just as much as the LJN Sling 'em Fling 'em ring. You take a look at the back, you got prototypes galore. Actually not galore, you've got really one prototype. You've got the Captain Lou without anything on his shirt at all. So just a plain white shirt, Captain Lou. But all the other figures there are pretty much identical to their release. Ring looks a little different. Take a look. Where are we? There we go. You got red posts. You've got more of a light blue mat, and it looks a hell of a lot better. I like it. I like it way better than the actual product. I love the red posts, and I love the kind of baby blue mat, because that's what the LJN, or that's what the WWF mat was. It was like a baby blue mat. So very cool back of the box, very cool front of the box, very great figures, very good line. Love them Love them, love them. The Bendies. Now, prototypes. There are some prototypes. There's British Bulldogs prototypes. There's Don Morocco. In fact, take a look here. Here's some pictures of some prototypes. Take a look at these beautiful, what could have been, wrestling superstar Bendy prototypes. Glorious. What is that, Bruno Sammartino? Unbelievable. What could have been. I do not have all of them, believe it or not. There is one Bendy that I do not have, and it is the Hulk Hogan with blue knee pads. I do not have this figure. It's the figure that came with the Bendy ring. The Bendy ring included 2 figures, usually a Paul Orndorff. Mine came with Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff, but the Hulk Hogan's that came with the ring had blue knee pads. And he's a little bit taller, which is weird. And I need him. That is the one Bendy that I do not have. So search your toy boxes in your closets and send them my way. I'll pay for them, of course, because you know how we do here on the channel. So that's that. That's the Bendies. That's the Bendies. And that means we're almost done with LJN. So we've got stretch wrestlers, which are garbage, and I only have some empty boxes of stretch wrestlers. And then we've got some, gimmicky stuff. I'll show you the cage. I'll show you the what I have of the Hulk Hogan workout set. I've got a Viewmaster. I've got some Wrestling Superstars soap. The album, the wrestling album we'll take a look at. Maybe the board game we'll take a look at. Some of the glasses, the cards. And that'll be it. And then we're going to move on to the AWA. And a wonderful toy line. The AWA Remco figures. I adore them. We will see them soon. We'll be back. And I'll be back with another episode where I just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.